I don't believe in luck. I think it's bullshit. Honestly, that's the honest to God truth. Uh, and here's why. When I was younger, I would see somebody up on stage or doing a gig that I thought I was better than. Like as a musician, I thought my skills were better. Or I would see somebody in a gig, I'm like, how did they get that? They don't deserve that. And I would just tell myself, okay, just gotta, someday something will come around for you. Just be patient. And now that I've gone through a phase of my life where I had to get out of the music industry and I'm back in it again in a new city with fresh eyes, I'm really understanding that there's no such thing as luck. I had a professor in college that said luck is the intersection of opportunity and preparation. And that made sense to me at the time, but now I'm also realizing people can go out there and find those opportunities, and if they can't find them, they can make them. And so today I had, to bring it all around, today I had somebody mention to me, they saw a post I had on Instagram of me playing at Kid Rock's big ass honky tonk on the main stage on a big night. And they said to me, kind of in a joking manner, how do you keep weaseling your way into these situations and interjecting yourself or getting lucky? And I took it as a compliment because none of this has ever been luck for me, not this time around. And I just want to do a quick little show how me saying yes to every gig, how saying yes to one gig kind of led to where I was at this weekend. And let's rewind to December of 2022. It was the day or two before Christmas, one of the coldest days of the year. All musicians were calling off. A lot of honky tonks were closed because nobody was going to make money. So there was a lot of SOS calls on Facebook for hey, I need a band here at this. And I responded to someone looking for a last minute drummer. I didn't want to. I wanted to stay at home and chill with my family, but I was really working on trying to get myself back into music and playing full time. So I showed up at that gig, not knowing anybody, and I really had worked my ass off up until that point to get my confidence back and understand all the material that's played in Nashville and the Broadway scene. And that first gig went pretty well and made very little money, but I made sure to get everyone's phone number, email, Instagram, whatever, connected with them immediately after the gig. And while I'm doing that, somebody walks in off the street. Does anyone play drums here? And it was a guy who was playing actually the next set right after me. And his drummer didn't show up. So, was that lucky? Maybe on my part, but that's not where the story ends. So this guy's name's Andy Lambie. He's a guy I work with frequently now. And he said, can you play this gig for me? And he was well under the impression that he was like, all right, I'm just, beggars can't be choosers, so I just have to accept whatever is given to me. So I played that gig with him, and I probably knew maybe 20% of the songs. And he was playing this version, this style of country music that I was not really that familiar with, but we managed to make it through. And that was, I thought it was an okay gig. If you ask Lambie, he'll probably say, eh. But after the gig, same thing. Phone number, email, Instagram, social media, whatever. I talked to Andy Lambie afterwards. I'm like, hey, I liked your playing, which I did. I thought he had a unique get down. He was doing a different style I wasn't really aware of. I was like, I want to prove myself to you at some point again and show you I can do this stuff. Send me your playlist. So he sent me his playlist. And that was at the end of December. And from those two gigs, I got a few other gigs, which helped me, again, same thing. I played on those gigs, phone number, email, social media. Plus, I started filming content to make me look like I was busy and working, so people would know that I'm out there playing and that I can play. So from there, I got called to do a month-long tour with singer-songwriter Kevin Daniel. You can see that I have a whole playlist of my tour diary. And that's when I really started getting into doing YouTube and doing Instagram. So I did that for a month. Just documented all my stuff. And some of the people that I played with from that one gig, they were still following and watching. Andy Lambie was one of them. After I did that month-long gig, I got back in town. I felt really uncomfortable and awkward, but I texted Andy. I'm like, hey man, I'm back in town. I remember playing with you a couple months ago. I would love to come out to a gig. And he sent me his schedule. So I went and did the uncomfortable thing, and I went and hung out and watched, I think, one or two of his gigs. And all the while, the past couple months, I'd actually been listening to that playlist. He had me sit in on one shift, and it went well. And then a couple days later, he messaged me. He's like, hey, can you do, I need a sub for a couple gigs. I said, absolutely. So I showed up at those gigs as prepared as I could be, still learning how the style, learning how to work with him. But those gigs went well. Same thing. Email, phone number, Instagram for all the people I'm working with. Take videos, tag people in them. Let people know that I'm around, right? And things just don't happen like that. But slowly, one person said, hey, I really enjoyed playing with you. You should check out this guy. He's a good guy to play with. So I go check him out. And the same thing, like, I introduce myself. I play with this person. Send him my social media information. And this whole time, I've been compiling things I've been doing on social media to let people know that I'm busy. And so I've been doing a lot of work with Andy. And from playing with Andy Lamby's bands, other things pop up. All the meanwhile, I kind of had, I've been trying to hustle my way into this other thing, this Rare Hair gig. And if you want to take a look at that, it was a Rare Hair, it's a hair metal gig, and it was kind of all these musicians in Nashville come together and play like metal for one night. Everyone plays a song or two. And I had been trying to contact the person who runs this, trying to get in his good graces, trying to know him, and say, hey man, I would love to do this. And he was kind of like, maybe, I don't kind of, who are you, what? And long story short, I was on it, off it, on it, off it, like this whole roller coaster. Literally at the last minute, less than an hour before I'm supposed to play, he calls me up. Hey man, I know you want to get on this gig, kind of fell in between the cracks. Something opened. Can you come down here and do it? I said, absolutely. And I was scared shitless because I don't play this type of music frequently. But I showed up at the gig. I learned the song. I couldn't even hear the whole song before I played it. I learned the song 3 minutes before I did it. Went, sat in, played. It was incredibly nerve-wracking, but incredibly rewarding and fun. And I did it. I pulled it off. There was no train wrecks. And I was like, oh, wow, this is great. And I filmed it, put it on YouTube. And I kind of wanted to leave like a comedian leaves on a high note after they tell a joke, before, the energy fades. And I wanted to leave before I would do something like stick my foot in my mouth. Or I'd just been had an adrenaline dump after that. But I decided to stay and watch a couple songs. And I look to my right. All right, no, I look at my phone. I see a message from Andy Lamby. He says, look to your left. I look it over, and he's there smiling at me. It was like, what are you doing here, man? You're like a Western country guy. He's like, oh, some guys I used to play with, they're in a band here, and I'm just supporting them. You should come hang out with us afterwards. There's some people I think you should meet. And so this is another couple hours of hanging out at this gig, and I wanted to go home so bad. I was tired. I had my victory, but I stayed. And I went and hung out with him for a second. He's like, Aaron, I want you to meet this guy. This guy, his name is Scott Metko. He's a guy I think you guys would hit it off really well. He's a drummer. He's playing this. And I'm like, and I've seen Scott around. I've seen him playing. And I was just tired. I just was going to say hi and just kind of, a few empty platitudes, then go home. Scott and I only talked for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. But when I talked to them, it felt like I was talking to an old friend. It felt like there's a reason why I was talking to this person. I think I can help him. I think he can help me. I still don't know what it is, but there's something kind of redeeming. There's something about the interaction where I'm like, yeah, I want to know this guy. And I think we could work well together in some capacity, even though we play the same instrument. And he's like, well, here's my Instagram. So we exchanged Instagram info, and I went home. It was 1:30 a.m. Got up the next day. I didn't want to message him because I'm just I'm so tired. But I messaged him, got outside of my comfort zone. And and he says, we should meet up sometime. I'm playing Kid Rock's main stage Friday, Saturday, Sunday night closing shift. So that's like the big shift, and that's crazy. He's like, maybe you want to stop by, say hey then, or like, I know it's CMA Fest week, which is a huge music festival here in Nashville. And he's like, if you want to like catch up with me afterwards, we can do that. So I said, cool, man. And I went and proceeded to play CMA Fest week, which was incredibly exhausting. It was fun, but I played so many gigs. And because I played so many gigs, like literally over like 4 days, it was 40 hours of playing gigs. I didn't have any time to get down to Kid Rock's on Friday or Saturday. So Sunday, like, I made it to the finish line. I'm like, oh God, I can't believe I made it through that weekend. I can't believe I made all that money. I'm so tired. I just want to go home and sleep. But there's something about talking with Scott. I'm like, you know what? I should go out there and make a connection. Just say hi. And I went to see him play. I got there probably like around 11. And I shot him a quick text because he was saying, people in the audience telling him to like, text the band Venmo requests. And I just, said, shout out from the rafters on your right side. And he looked over, we smiled and laughed. And I was just going to hang for an hour and then go home and go to sleep. But I just kind of hung around. And lo and behold, like, he texted me, he's like, hey, you want to sit in? Do you know this song? Of course I didn't know the song, but I'm like, yeah, I think I can learn it. And I had about 10 seconds of listening to the song, and I went up there and I played the song. It was nerve-wracking, but fun, and I pulled it off. And played another song that I didn't know, but pulled it off. And I'm posting, or like people are seeing videos of this online. I think some of the stuff I didn't even post. And they're like, how did you get into this situation, man? Like, what are you doing? And I'm not doing anything special or nefarious, or like, I'm not conniving. I'm just planting seeds every day because this is something I want to do. I get really nervous and uncomfortable asking for phone numbers, giving out my information, self-promoting. Like, I've actually gone to a therapist to get over my fear of posting online, and I'm still very nervous about doing it, about putting myself out there. But I put these seeds out over months. And I'm following through. I'm doing things like showing up in person to a gig, saying hi, doing the things where you actually have to do work aside from just being on your phone. I'm not saying a phone has no validity, but going in person, asking for a number, asking for an opportunity, or just being around. If someone says, hey, can you do this opportunity? Yeah. Even though I don't know the song, but I'm like, I'll figure it out later. And just throwing myself into these situations and thinking, okay, I might crash and burn, but I'm going to learn something from it. But I'm finding a lot more of what I'm doing is I'm going out and seeking out opportunities. I'm going where opportunities are. And for me, that is getting in front of people, talking to people, meeting people, and not expecting anything in return right away. Not expecting anything in return, period. But it's a long game. And so that's why I really don't believe in luck. Maybe something kind of floats your way every now and again, but what do you do with that opportunity? For example, that day I said yes to that cold gig. I played the gig, but then somebody else came in, happened to need somebody. From there, I did all the things, got people's numbers, information, learned their songs, stuck around, put myself out there, followed through on things. And by no means am I saying I'm a success story, because there's so much I want to do. But this has kind of been pushing me along lately. And just throwing myself out there, kind of like I'm doing with this video. I just had this train of thought and I wanted to get it out there, and kind of like a brain dump. And I'm working on kind of being a little bit more concise with my material, a little bit more polished. But really, today was just like, okay, there's an opportunity for me to say something just like, oh, there's an opportunity for me to sit in and play. I may not know the song, but when else am I going to get this opportunity? Go, do it. So yeah, that's why I'm throwing myself out there. I'm willing to fail, and sometimes I do fail. But, you're never going to win unless you, put yourself out there. You're never going to hit a home run unless you swing. You might strike out, but you're never going to hit a home run by not swinging. So I could go on, jabber on like a monkey in a tree, but really this is the point where I say like, follow, subscribe. If this helps you at all, that helps me know that I'm helping people. Still working on the sign off, still working on the whole polish concept. But I really hope you found this video useful, because this is just an example of like, yeah, if you put it out there and patient, things happen.